I'm Mike Schoelwer. As you're well aware, I'm running for chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia. I'm a GOP committee chairman of Lancaster County, a retired Marine Corps officer, and a retired CIA operations officer. You know, last January I was really upset over our election losses and our continued slide toward irrelevance. I decided to throw my hat into the ring because I won't let this continue. I'm completely optimistic that we can start winning again, but not if we keep the same old status quo leadership and refuse to take ownership of our mistakes. So, what's wrong with the RPV? Well, I can tell you there's nothing wrong with our local committees at the grassroots. They're fired up and ready for the fight. But the place where the RPV comes off the rails is at the top. Our current chairman is a decent, nice guy, but we need an aggressive, assertive chairman who has experience running large organizations. All else follows from that. You know, I have run big multi-layered organizations with $100 million plus budgets, and I've served in large organizations critical to the security of the United States when they had to make massive readjustments to respond to a threat to the U.S. From that experience, I can see right away what's wrong with this. First, the RPV has no clear vision of what it needs to accomplish. The leadership needs to set that. And since we don't have a clear objective or mission statement, we can't develop a plan, or concept of operations, or statement of resources, or measures of effectiveness. Equally problematic, the chairman's allowed the State Central Committee to drift away from the substantive role that it used to play, and he's refused to take ownership of the strategic mistakes or correct them. And unfortunately for the RPV, like any big organization, when the center isn't working, local units don't stand a chance. Well, also unfortunately for us, our political opponents haven't fallen into that trap. I think our situation is eminently recoverable for right now, but the RPV has to change. The RPV needs a chairman with strong leadership skills, executive experience, and strategic thinking experience. And those are exactly the skill sets that I developed both in peacetime and in war over the past 41 years in the Marine Corps and in the CIA. And from my experiences as an RPV committee chairman, I've learned how the RPV needs to function as an organization, which is fundamentally different than just an individual political campaign. To see the differences in how my opponents and I envision what the RPV should be, just look at who has endorsed each of us. Those who endorse my opponents are elected officials who view the RPV as a little brother of their own organizations, as useful only as a post office box for their own campaigns, and who have watched the RPV decline without intervening. They are content with our status quo because, well, it either works for them or it doesn't get in their way. I manifestly oppose that model for the RPV. And that's why I've been endorsed by grassroots and RPV activists who, like me, want to see the RPV be an organization that stands on its own 2 feet, defends the interests of Republicans, raises its own money, doesn't feel compelled to ask others for permission to run candidates, and produces leaders capable of governing Virginia. I never learned how to ask others for permission to defend myself. I guess that's why I was happy in the Marine Corps. That's what I want to apply to the RPV. So here's what I'll do to build the organization that we can be and get us back to winning again. First, I want us to commit to this mission statement. Through its local committees, the RPV elects good candidates to public office who will govern according to Republican creed. That's it. Punkt. Stop in the message. That's what we do. Second, I'll work with State Central to develop a plan to implement that mission statement with the specific goal of retaking our state government in November 2021. Third, I will start a Marshall Plan-like effort to help communities recruit, train, and run candidates at every level up and down the ballot. We failed to run candidates in 25% of Virginia's legislative districts and counties in 2019. That was a strategic blunder that cost us control of the General Assembly. And the RPV is getting ready to do that again. We can't ever repeat that mistake. Fourth, I will start an RPV-wide effort to recruit new conservative voters in ethnic groups that, for reasons unknown to me, we haven't contacted so far. Fifth, I'll ask our State Central Committee to form subcommittees to oversee our finances, our campaign operations, and our media operations, and harness all that energy and experience of State Central that's pretty much idle right now. Six, I will re-engage our large donors, show them why we will start winning again, and why their help right now will be decisive. And finally, I will start a robust, multidisciplinary media campaign to make our case to every voter in Virginia. I will preach what we practice. Republicans need to hear us, and the Democrats need to know they can't ignore us. These are desperate times in Virginia. Frankly, it reminds me of the riots and the extremism in the late 1960s that I lived through. On top of that, because of the COVID-19 health emergency, decisions are being made right now that will affect Virginia for the next 2 decades. We have to be at the table. We can't continue being led by the clubby, exclusive circle we have now. I want the RPV to stand on its own 2 feet and be the organization that gets capable of governing Virginia. There's only one way we can carry Virginia for President Trump, elect Dan Gade and the great set of congressional candidates that we have this year, and retake Virginia in 2021. We are the GOP, the grand old party. Virginia desperately needs us to be grand again. I ask for your vote on August 15th, and with your help, together, we can make this so. Thank you.